Hey everybody, happy Sunday evening. I hope you've all had a beautiful and blessed weekend and just wanted to give a brief update about everything that had been going on during the week. On Thursday, started some pre-op appointments at NYU in New York City. So I had a CAT scan, a blood test that went phenomenally well. Usually I have an adverse reaction, and I walked out of the room the same way, feeling the same way that I walked into the room. So I gave my phlebotomist a huge hug, and I would have given her an award if there was something to give her, but it took down her name in case I need to go back there. We did a MRSA swab and a urine test, so all went well. And the CAT scan is really to help the doctors plot out bony structures and give them some guidance on direction for which way they want to approach surgery. Um, Again, there's three different types of surgery. My tumor is too large for the middle fossa. That's typically for smaller tumors. And the retrosigmoid or translab were my two options. And both of the doctors that I met with at Cornell and at NYU recommended the translab. So it's a more direct approach to where my tumor is located. And on Friday, started out with an MRI and was really utilizing the Ujjayi breath, and that is in pranayama. That's the victory breath. You might hear it referred to as the Darth Vader breath. That's kind of what it sounds like when or ocean breath is another word for it. But when we're doing that, it's very internal. We're engaging the muscles of the throat. So you kind of learn how to do it like you would be blowing on a mirror, and just creating that fog naturally with your breath, like, and then we close our mouth where. So it's a very balancing, calms the nervous system, but also gives us some energy at the same time. And have been using that breath for a while now. And while the MRIs have really come a long way with technology, they're donut shaped. At the ones that NYU uses, and it takes about half the time than what it used to. So about 20 to 30 minutes that you're in the machine. And what was interesting is that they actually put me in a preparation area where I was prepped on the table that I would be lying in for the MRI. And they gave me an IV, and that IV was then hooked up to a machine that would automatically inject the contrast, the gadolinium, when the tech was ready for that to happen. So I didn't need to come out of the machine, and they would have better quality tests, but they were finding that people were moving a little bit when they took them out to give them the injection of the contrast. So this was a different way of approaching that. So got all that. They wheeled me across the hallway into the machine, and the machine kind of looks like this huge donut. When you're getting something scanned in your head or your brain, you're still going into a tube, but it's much more open and much more comfortable than, boy, those tubes back in the 90s used to be. And the hammering, it's a little bit different now. It's more vibration, and I don't really hear that too much over. They give you these huge headphones. They're almost like the noise canceling headphones. That's probably what they are. And I chose to listen to classical music, something without vocals, and just thought about all my family members, my friends that bring a lot of joy to my life, and what makes me smile about each one of you. And that put me definitely in a very peaceful and happy place, because that tube can be a struggle to get through. And that test started before 8:30 in the morning, so it was an early one. Um, wow, from there, there was a appointment with just really a physician, to give me medical clearance. So he asked me about my medical history, did an exam, they did an EKG, and that was very quick. They just hooked up some sticky things to my chest and like almost around my ribs, and hooked up some electronical devices with wires, and I didn't feel anything. It didn't hurt, no sensations. And she said, "Okay, you're done," about probably a minute later. So that was pretty easy. And met with a nurse practitioner for Dr. Golfino's, Jessica. So she really went over everything, from the beginning to recovery, of what to expect from the moment that I check in on Wednesday to weeks after surgery. And what the really good news is, there's a few bits of good news. One of them is that they anticipate surgery taking about 5 to 6 hours. So I will have a lot less anesthesia and a lot less medications and things for my body to eliminate after surgery, and also for just, my body to process. So less stress on my entire body, and less stress on my medical team. Hopefully we're looking at that time range, and it hopefully ends after the 5 or 6 hours, and we don't need to have that turn into 10, 12, 13 hours. That's a really long time for your brain to stay focused. Although I greatly have confidence in my doctors and my medical team, the sooner we can get in and get everything done and out, the better for everyone that's involved, especially my family that's going to be waiting for information and news. The other thing is that when we looked at my MRI, my tumor had not grown. So the last time I had an MRI was back in December. It was on Christmas Eve, December 25th. And March, just looking at my calendar, so December 25th to March 6th. So a little chunk of time, about a month and a few days. Or 2 months and a few days, January, February. And that was really good news. So, everything that I've been doing has hopefully stabilized the growth. And it's also, typically acoustic neuromas are a very slow growing tumor. But they can pick up some speed, and the last thing I want to see on my MRI results are going into surgery seeing that I have something a little bit larger than anticipated, even if it's just by the tiniest bit. So that was very good news. Also had a hearing test done, and what I found out from the hearing test is I have severe hearing loss in my right ear. I knew that. I had a hearing test back in November, and those are the results that came back. But what we found out since that time is that the higher frequencies have become harder for me to pick up in the right ear. So hearings decreased a little bit on that right side, and I am going to completely lose my hearing. They do need to remove the cochlea from the right side as they're going in doing surgery. And there's so many different options for technology. There's hearing aids that I'll wear on this side, and it'll transfer the information over to this side. There's ones that you just stick in your ear, or ones that you can actually have implanted in your bone, and there's a lot of options. But we, the doctors and I, decided let's cross that bridge when we get there. Let's just get through Wednesday. But it's good to know, back in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, my body's acclimated already. I can still make out noise on this right side, but it's going to be complete hearing loss. So it needs to make some more adjustments too. So hearing tests, and I also got to meet Dr. Rowland. So my team for surgery is Dr. Golfinos, the neurosurgeon, and Dr. Rowland. Dr. Rowland is like an ENT otolaryngologist. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. One day I'll learn how to say it. And I absolutely love my doctors. I have done a lot of research about their background, watched all the YouTube videos that are out there with them at speaking engagements and interviews, and they have incredible credentials on paper, and to meet them in person, and it's just amazing how compassionate and approachable they are. They're very humble, and they both have a great sense of humor. And I'm just really fortunate to have such an amazing team, and have such confidence in the doctors that are going to be doing this procedure. And I think it really makes a difference to have just a little the sense of humor isn't necessarily a make it or break it, but it definitely helps with the bedside manner. So I went into Dr. Rowland's office, and Jessica I had met with prior to that, the nurse practitioner. In between them, they answered quite a lot of questions, but I did come in with my whole sheet of questions, even on the back. So I did my research, and this is really serious stuff. So I wanted to make sure to be prepared, and as much information and knowledge as I could. I've even gone on YouTube and watched the actual procedure being done on a patient, because I really want to see what it looks like, and what is going to happen in the operating room. So I'm just looking at some of my notes, and one of the things Jessica said is that the best therapy is walking. It's going to help me regain my balance and just recalibrate everything, help with circulation. And I've done some reading about patients that have gone through vestibular therapy and physical therapy, and she said, we don't even talk about those things. We want you to go home and walk about 5 to 10 minutes for every hour that you're awake. So that is my homework for when I get home. And just talking a lot about the medications, the risks, possible complications. And when I wake up from surgery, so we'll backtrack. I'm going to check in to the hospital around 5:30 in the morning. That's the anticipated time, but I'll get a call the night before just letting me know the time that's confirmed to show up and register and check in. And I'll make sure to share that with all of you, because part of the program that I'm enrolled in, that Prepare for Surgery Now, Heal Faster, through NYU, that's the program developed by Peggy Huddleston. One of the pieces of that program is to share with my support team, all of you, the time that my surgery begins, so you can envision me and think of a blanket of comfort that is wrapping around me. And the nurse that I went through this program with, it's an over-the-phone workshop, said she's had patients come back and tell her just this overwhelming sense of peace that came over them at that time. And it's the power of love. Prayer is love, and good intentions is love, the good juju, the healing vibes, the blessings. It's all based out of your anahata, your heart center. So it's going to be a really beautiful opportunity for everyone to contribute their energy and just a piece of their time on Wednesday to uplift me in peace and love. And I so appreciate it. Thank you. So we'll start the surgery again, hopefully 5-6 hours it goes by, and I'll be in the same hospital room the entire stay. I'll just be in a different status. So when I wake up from surgery, it'll be ICU, neurological ICU. Have a lot of the nurses and doctors checking in on me, monitoring every bit of me, making sure that I'm comfortable. And they said expect the room to be spinning and just to be really kind of grumpy and not happy with anyone at that point. And then the next morning, PT is going to come get me up out of bed to start walking. And hopefully we'll be able to eat a little bit the next day. And the third day, PT again, walking, but I'll also have some stairs incorporated, and should be feeling a little bit better, and talk about discharging to go home. And hopefully on the fourth day, I'll be able to head home and really start full-on healing. So that's where I am with all of this. I'm still feeling really confident, and I just love sharing this journey with all of you, and again shedding light on this condition. And for anyone that has to go through any type of surgery or a diagnosis, know that you don't own that diagnosis. I wanted to share some of the things that I was reading while I was waiting for some of my appointments. The first thing was this book by Thich Nhat Hanh. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It's called Be Free Where You Are. And there's this one chapter that talks about, and I lost my spot. Here it is. When you feel grateful, you do not suffer. And towards the end of this chapter, it talks about, he writes, when your life is meaningful, happiness becomes reality, and you become a bodhisattva right here and now. A bodhisattva is someone who has compassion within himself or herself, and who is able to make another person smile or help someone suffer less. And every one of us is capable of this. So thank you so much for being my bodhisattva and bringing that joy and that smile to my face. Another thing I wanted to share is this beautiful card. This is such a gift that my Uncle Carl and my Aunt Alma sent to me. It said, this special prayer for your healing. It's a mass enrollment, and I wasn't aware of this. I've never seen this before. But wow, Mother Mary keeps coming up in this journey big time. So the Divine Sisterhood, I recognize you and I honor you. She's right there. But it's almost like a little booklet. So it talks a little about Mother Mary and how she, is compassionate and helps with guiding people in their healing. But this is a gift of healing masses for me. I'll be shared in prayer and good works of the Salvatorian fathers and brothers, including a special Holy Mass celebrated each day in Rome for an entire year at the Mother House of the Society of the Divine Savior. How beautiful is that? And there's a little bit more towards the end about some of the benefits for those that are that have this beautiful gift presented to them, and it's just really it's amazing. It really is has touched me as all of your words and wow, everything, donations, text messages, uh, emails, phone calls. Oh my goodness. And again, I'm sorry, it's hard to really keep up with all of it. I, emotionally get overwhelmed with just the outpour of love. And I just have so much gratitude for all of you. I'm just beyond grateful. And this is what's really helping to get me through this whole process, is just feeling like I have an endless amount of love and support. So I am very ready for next week. Just doing some laundry and prepping some more food and cleaning the house and getting ready for my dear friend, my dear sister Lisa, to come take care of our kitties. So think about them too. They're going to be, without mom and dad for a couple days. And I think that's about all the information that I wanted to share. That's kind of it. And I will keep you all posted. My sisters are Facebook users, and I have family that are on Instagram. So be coming back to you soon after surgery, but I'll definitely be posting again before that. Be heading up to New York City and very soon. So have a beautiful, peaceful Sunday night. Seems like today, I know spring is a few more days off, but it felt like spring was today. The streets here in our neighborhood were just lined with people walking their dogs and playing with their kids. It was really a wonderful sight to see. Nice weather, and we have the extra hour of sunlight, so everyone was taking advantage of that. Good time to come home and be walking outside and recover. We spent some time in our sunroom. The cats were thrilled. They love soaking in the rays, and it really helps in getting your vitamin D and being out in the sun and being out in nature. It's very helpful for healing. So have a really restful, rejuvenating night, and we're going to be starting a new week, and I am ready to get this party started in a big way. Love you all. Peace from my heart to yours.